If you're a big swim team and you like to order a lot of gear, maybe you ought to check out Swim Outlet Team Division for these reasons. Swim teams receive a 10% discount on bulk orders. Swim teams or organizations get an 8% commission on referred sales. You'll also like their customization services, which is affordable and available at all times during the year for all team gear. With over 50,000 items in stock, you can get most anything you want. Swim Outlet Team Division. You need to try it out. You'll be glad you did.
Welcome to the Morning Swim Show for Wednesday, February 5th, 2014. I'm your host, Jeff Cummings. The Women's Atlantic Coast Conference Swimming and Diving Championships starts 2 weeks from today, and it's never too early to make predictions about the outcome of this always exciting meet. Joining me today in the Finis Monitor today and tomorrow to offer up a preview of the women's and men's NCAA meet is Swimming World contributor David Rieder, who is on Skype from Duke University in Durham, North Carolina. David, as always, great to see you. How are you?
I'm doing well, Jeff. I appreciate you having me.
Well, this is going to be fun, starting off the college conference season with the ACC Championships. I'm going to put you on the spot. I want you to pick your top 3 teams, how they're going to finish in the women's meet.
All right. Well, for the women's meet, Virginia's won this meet 6 years in a row now, and I think it's going to be a 7th. It'll definitely be a close meet. Last year, pretty comfortable win over Virginia Tech, but I think they're going to get the win. They beat North Carolina in a real bar-burner meet about a week and a half ago, and I think North Carolina gets 2nd, and then I think I'm going to go with Virginia Tech for 3rd, though it's definitely those top 2 teams, the Cavaliers and the Tar Heels, that are the class of the ACC.
So Virginia won by almost 300 points last year, so you're saying it's not going to be a runaway meet this year?
No, I mean, it really can't be. I was when they swam in Chapel Hill, not this past Saturday, but the Saturday before that, they were. It was a tight meet that came down to the last 2 events, the 2IM and the free relay, and it took great finish from Virginia to come out on top. But North Carolina wasn't at full strength last year, obviously without Stephanie Peacock, and they're really good this year, especially in the freestyle events. Virginia is currently, I think, ranked 7th in the country, and North Carolina 9th. 2 ACC programs in the top 10, not something we've seen in a while, and I think those 2 teams are going to really be going at it the entire weekend in Greensboro.
What has been the difference this season that has going to make it such a close conference meet? Because like you said, Virginia has never had any problems winning this meet, and now they're finding themselves having 2-3 teams that are going to be really challenging them.
Yeah, you're right. It's been a while since it's been that competitive of a meet. And honestly, I think a lot of it has to do with Stephanie Peacock being back, because she was injured last year, didn't get to swim, and she goes into that meet. Won't be easy, but she's the favorite in the 500 and the mile, and she's obviously big for North Carolina on the 800 free relay. North Carolina's sprinters are absolutely the class of the conference. I say sprinters, freestylers really, the class of the conference. Danielle Seiverling saw her start to break into the national scene last year, and she's one of the top swimmers in the country in the 200 free. And then you've got Alan Hardesty in the 50 and the 100 free. And so their freestyle, top to bottom, probably can sweep that at the conference meet. And then you have people like Carrie Blaylock in the IMs and the butterflies. Another, a swimmer that's made finals at NCAAs in the past and really has a chance to win events and score a lot of points at ACCs. And I think having Peacock back and having those girls will really give them strength on the relays, and it'll take a lot for Virginia to win. And that rivalry, UVA-UNC, it's a pretty big time rivalry, and I think they get really amped up to swim each other. And so I'm expecting that meet to come down to the last day for sure.
Yeah, I think it's going to get loud in the Greensboro Aquatic Center, because it really does sound like it's going to be intense. Let's talk about Stephanie Peacock. As you said, she didn't get to swim at last year's meet. She had an undisclosed illness, and then she was unable to swim at the NCAA Championship. So I get a sense there's a big fire burning in her this season to make up for last year and go out well in her senior year. Do you think she's going to put in a pretty good rest for this meet? I mean, I believe she's already got her cut, so she doesn't really have to go through, trying, like most of her teammates, trying to get those NCAA cuts. Do you think we're going to see any fast swimming, or is it just going to be enough to do what it takes to help UNC chase for that title?
Yeah, I think she's going to swim pretty fast. She probably won't have a full rest for this meet, but I think she'll swim pretty fast. she's definitely excited to come back for senior season after having not gotten to go through this last year. And she's really enjoying the team and seeing just how good they've been this year. And I think she wants to, go with them for one last hurrah at the college level. So I think she'll be faster at NCAAs, but I definitely think she'll be prepared to swim fast at ACCs. And the thing is, though, she might not have it all her own way, especially in the 500. Leah Smith from Virginia, freshman, coming in, and Peacock beat Smith in both the 500 and the 1,000 at the dual meet between those two schools last week. But Smith could be a challenge, and Peacock can't just come in, throw on a practice suit, and cruise to the win in both of those and save it all up for NCAAs, where, again, she'll probably be the favorite in the mile like she won 2 years ago. So I think she's going to come in and be ready to swim fast, but definitely have her sights set on NCAAs as well.
Yeah, definitely use this for racing experience.
Mm-hmm.
Another swimmer who is going to be one to watch, Courtney Bartholomew from Virginia, is having a stellar season so far. Just really blew away the field so far in the backstroke events. Obviously, if we look further west out to the Pac-12 and Cal specifically, they're going to be the big barrier for her to get a win. But I think this is really going to be her year. She kind of broke out last year, but I think this is going to be a great meet for her to try to continue this. But I guess, again, the question is, how fast is she going to go now that she's got her cuts? I mean, obviously, it's not going to be that easy for Virginia. So do you think Augie Bush is going to put in a full rest for her and see if she can go 51, 100 back, 149, in the 200 back at the meet?
Yeah, Courtney Bartholomew, definitely one of the surprises. Normally when you think of, backstroke on the NCAA level, you have Cal, who can swim 4 women that could probably win the whole thing. But Courtney's the top swimmer in the country this year. She's been 50.5, and that was at the Ohio State invite this past winter. I'm not sure what to really expect at ACCs. Coming in, I get the impression that this program definitely is focused on the NCAAs, but they're not going to blow off the ACC meet. I'm not sure we'll see as fast swims from Courtney as we saw at Ohio State, considering especially that she's one of the top swimmers in the team and doesn't need to taper to get her cuts for sure. But I think she'll be right, or I think she'll be close to those marks she was at Ohio State. I think the 100 back is probably her best chance to win at NCAAs, considering, again, she's the top swimmer in the country. 200 back, a little bit tougher, and she's a full second behind Elizabeth Pelton in the rankings. But I think we'll see some very solid swims, some swims for her. And Virginia needs her, really, on those medley relays. They have some pretty strong medley relays coming in. You have Laura Simon on the breaststroke and Ellen Williamson on the fly. And those medley relays are going to have to come up big to get some points, with North Carolina, like I mentioned earlier, really strong in those freestyle events.
Yeah, definitely they will. Those relays, obviously, at team competitions, they help a lot. Double points mean a big deal
Sure.
at the end. A couple other teams. Florida State, throughout this whole season, it's been Tiffany Oliver and Caitlin Dressel, their sprint freestylers, really helping out this team. Are we going to see them kind of break the stranglehold on North Carolina's freestyle dominance, and they're going to go 1-2, 50 and 100 free, you think?
It's possible. You really never know. The sprint's certainly one of the more volatile events, and they come in with, no real favorite. Virginia's not as strong in the sprints. Virginia Tech is all right there, but certainly those are the more wide open events, I think, at ACCs.
I've never been to the ACC Championships. You have. You went last year. In terms of intensity, noise level, give me an idea of how intense it is there.
It can get pretty loud. There's the stands are normally pretty packed. The fans can get rowdy. I got a great picture at the men's meet of some Florida State fans who painted their chests and were really into it. And the Florida State's actually one of the more rowdy fan bases at ACCs. A little bit of the Florida State shop, but it can get pretty loud in there. All the teams screaming for their relays, especially. And there's definitely a sense of I'd say a sense of camaraderie among the whole ACC. Last year at the men's meet, we missed Clemson and we missed Maryland. Definitely more of a tight. Hard to say a tight knit conference, but really a conference that respects other teams, and but still the fans can get pretty into it come relay time, especially.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Is usually at the conference meets, it's everybody is very much, and then we hate the other schools, and but there's always, as you said, there's always supports for those schools who need help the most, like Clemson and Maryland, and we hope they don't have to have. We're glad, I guess, we don't have to have those cheers this year. No major programs on the chopping block. So this has been a good year for college swimming in that regard.
Yeah, for sure. It's always nice to have teams increasing money for swimming, like we saw with Duke, the women's team on the way to being fully funded, and that's always great news. And I think the ACC is a conference that's really on the rise in swimming. Even with the loss of programs, you got Louisville coming in and Notre Dame's there, even though their impact really might be more on the men's side. But it's an exciting time for the ACC, and when I've talked to a couple coaches the past few weeks, and I think everyone's expecting this conference to get more and more competitive. And actually, one other quick thing I wanted to throw out there. This year at the ACC meets, they are going to be scoring through 24 places. Normally at most conference meets, except the Pac-12, it's just 16. So we'll see how some of that depth really stands out. And that's one advantage for both North Carolina and Virginia, but especially North Carolina, I think. We'll see how depth really makes an impact on this meet.
Yeah, it's very interesting. If it comes down to just a few points, they're going to, whichever team wins is going to be thanking their 18th place or 17th or even 24th place swimmers, I'm sure.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. It's going to be fun and exciting. And like I said, all three heats of finals. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how it all shakes out.
Yep, I'm getting excited every minute that goes on, David. Thank you so much for joining us. I'll see you tomorrow, and we'll talk about the men's meet.
Yeah, sounds good, Jeff. Thanks for having me.
All right. So that's going to do it for today's edition of the Morning Swim Show, but we're not done talking about the ACC Championships. Just as I said, you want to join David and I tomorrow when we discuss the men's meet. Until then, I'm Jeff Commings. Thanks for watching.